is Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk, WWE's feud of the year. Hello everyone and welcome to the WrestleTalk podcast review of Monday Night Raw. Please do press the subscribe button, give us a little thumbs up, leave a comment down below with what you thought of this episode of Raw, because I'm Luke and DAD. This is Dan Layton, and if you're watching us live, then head on over to our wonderful live chat, join the SWAF Nation, join this community, get us your thoughts, and we will read them out on the air. If you've sent them in to WrestleTalk.com/support, let us know what you think of the show. We'll read out all of them above the $5 amount. Plus, if I may, click the link in the video description down below and get your tickets to our Summerslam party. We have partnered with Hooked on Wrestling for this weekend. We're going to be there showing Summerslam in Shoreditch, and we are going to be there doing our live reactions live from the venue, just like you and I did from WrestleMania. You're potentially in attendance?
Well, I'm doing the review the next day, so I'm like, am I going to watch it morning of review, or am I going to watch it, be up and excited to be there for the nighttime? And if I'm going to be up watching it at home, I might as well go to like, if there's a party. But I haven't decided yet. Yeah. Because, you know, it's all to do with sleep patterns.
That's it, yeah, because you and I are doing the coverage the following day. So
and I'm not a spring chicken anymore.
No, well, I'm in the similar boat, because like, my wife is working on the 5th.
Yeah.
So I'm looking after the kid all day. And then my option is that I go pick her up from work, and then I go into London to do that, or I get a good night rest, wake up in the morning and watch it, and come into London. I'm quite decided yet.
International pay-per-views that we've had, the France Backlash, where it was a really convenient time for me, Clash of the Castle, you know, it's been a while since I stayed up for Money in the Bank, and I was a little bit tired after that as well. So I feel like
we're getting on now, bud.
Don't say that. Don't say it like that. Maybe I can get it back. Like I can, you know, if I were a bit more in the fitness game and with a better diet, maybe I would still be able to stay up all night and be as young as I am.
I don't think that's the case, but I think those days are beyond us now.
It was my brother's 30th birthday this weekend, which is my little brother. Remarkable that he's still my little brother, given that he's now 4 years older than me.
Anyway, guys, get your tickets below and watch SummerSlam with us. Pete, Tempest, and Sat will definitely be there in attendance, and myself and Dan might also be there as well.
We'll see.
But what we certainly saw on this week's episode of Raw, segue, was our opening segment here, which was Drew McIntyre and CM Punk in the ring with referee Seth Rollins and his real big sleeves. And he was there to lay out his rules for being a referee, which were more or less, hey, I probably won't be DQing anyone, and I might not do a count out either.
Yeah. Which is kind of his way of saying, like, sort of anything goes, but I am still the ref, and if you piss me off enough, maybe I will.
Yeah.
So it kind of adding that little spice to the mix of, like, you know, is he going to call it completely down the middle? Well, if the middle is an amorphous sort of, what's the word, osmosis sort of muslin cloth where you can go in and out, then who knows?
And I think if we're looking at that SummerSlam 1997 finish, which is what a lot of people are sort of looking at as the template,
including the network. When I logged onto the network this morning, and the first thing it was showing me was SummerSlam 97. So
that's got real reeks of Royal Rumble 2000, when they were like, oh boy, do you remember the finish of the Rumble 1996?
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels and his 1 foot on the floor. Just apropos of nothing, we thought we'd mention that on this broadcast. Anyway, here's the finish for the Royal Rumble 2000.
Yeah. Or when Punk is maybe coming back, so they just drop every now and again a little Punk versus John Cena match on the YouTube channel. I feel like these things are not.
Sometimes it's
coordination.
Sometimes it's coordination. Sometimes it's just happy accidents.
Yeah.
But like, of course, CM Punk is the Bret Hart in this SummerSlam 97 throwback. But like, I think if you're looking at that, the reason I'm bringing that up, if you're looking at the 97 throwback as the template for this special guest referee thing, Seth Rollins saying, "I'm not going to DQ you if you get a weapon in the ring," gives a reason as to why a weapon then could be in the ring, so you can replicate that finish.
Yeah, or even just. You know, that's true if you're thinking about it in that logistics way. But as a fan experience of sitting down to watch
95,
the match...
do apologise, not 96.
Because he won them both, though.
Yeah, no.
That's the thing. And why all this year, the whole thing was like, only a couple of people have won them in a row. What was I saying?
We were talking about SummerSlam 97.
Yeah. What a great match that was.
I mean, it's one of my favourite finishes, actually.
Oh, yeah. The idea of it's called a street fight by any other name. I think I found street fights, no holds barred, bloodline rules, all to be quite underwhelming lately. So the idea that this is actually just a straight wrestling match, but the refs, you know, going to turn a blind eye because he hates both of them. He wants to see them batter each other. Is kind of fun, kind of interesting. But also he's then able to turn around and go, you've used that kendo stick one too many times, actually. I'm going to take it off you. Yeah. Which is enough of a reason for one of them to want to get in his face, backs turned. There's a lot that you can do with that, I think.
And they were here to kind of, establish that it's not just CM Punk that Seth Rollins hates. Because Drew was there to be like, look, Seth, you may as well just come onto my side here. We both hate this guy. We both think this guy's a complete tool. And Punk was making the same point of just like, look, I don't trust you at all in any of this. And Seth was like, yeah, like, Drew, you're right. I do hate CM Punk. I think he's an awful, awful human being. But I don't like you much either. But I think, again, that SummerSlam 97, it was Brett and Shawn. This is Rollins and Punk, and Drew is Taker in this scenario. So while Shawn has got his issues with Taker, his real beef is with Brett. In the same way, Rollins sure has got a bit of beef with Drew, but they had that sort of respect moment after WrestleMania. He hasn't really had much beef with him since, but he's got a real issue with CM Punk. He'd have more of an issue if Damien Priest hadn't have just gone back on the stipulation that they made leading into their match at Money in the Bank, but I'm not going to get back on that train again. But I think I thought
because it's not publicly funded.
Not yet. As a segment, I thought this kind of accomplished a lot. My thing with it was, though, perhaps it was a bit of a dead crowd. Like, this was, probably about like the 10th moment we've had since CM Punk has come back where he has tried to get the crowd to chant his name, and about 5 people do.
Do you know what? I'm going to call you on that one because I've watched it twice, and I think there are 2 sections where he, quote unquote, tries to get people to call his name.
And I think the second time it works.
The second time it works, but I think the reason the first time it doesn't work is because it's not as signposted.
Yeah, are you shitting me that it wasn't signposted? He literally said, 10 years people were chanting my name.
What I mean... Okay, you're gonna need to turn the internet off for a second and let me be your friend Dan, who's talking to you. I hadn't finished my point. What I was saying was there's a sign posted between the way they say it and what he had done, which was essentially a run-on sentence that finished with him chanting my name. Yes, what I'm not saying is he wasn't calling for them to chant his name. Obviously he was. What I'm saying is it wasn't a very effective signposting that is the prompt for you to do that because of the way that he had said the full sentence. So the crowd then I think went, and then I had my big headphones on, so there was like a little pocket of people who got it, and after a couple of seconds started chanting. Later on, he did a far more effective. I'm saying that the reason they didn't chant is because Punk didn't do it right, not because no one's interested.
I don't think it was interested. I just don't think it was a good crowd. I wasn't saying that the crowd weren't interested in this. I just don't think this was a good crowd.
I thought they were right. There was a massive Otis chant.
Well, yeah,
but at various points.
But they were not into anything else in that match. They were into Otis, but not much else.
There was just a little part of me that feels like sometimes this segment was going to be like the all-in footage that they broadcasted on Dynamite that one time, which is that you will see exactly what you want to see. I've seen the takes being like I've seen the takes being like this is generational, this is the best ever segment, and I've seen ones being like this crowd don't care about CM Punk, this is rubbish. And I don't agree with either.
I don't think either of those things are true.
No, that's what I'm saying. I see it in the middle. I see it as just a segment. But if you are inclined to see this segment not going well, the segment didn't go well.
Well, yeah, okay, but that's not what I'm saying.
Right. I know.
Oh, okay. Cool. So we're having an argument about something that neither.
No, I'm not having an argument with you at all.
I thought this segment was broadly fine. My issue I had with this segment, and it's not even an issue, is that this is not a go-home segment.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, like it was. I think this has been, and this is why we wanted to sort of title this sort of, has this been WWE's Feud of the Year? Because for my money, broadly, yes. Like, while I loved the Cody Rhodes and Rock stuff, and arguably, like, that leading into WrestleMania was the Feud of the Year, I've been so invested in this feud. Like, from January, really actually can argue from November through to now when they're having their first match. I've been so invested in there, and part of the reason why it's gone so long is because of the injury and stuff, but that injury has been incorporated into it. While I don't think every segment has been a home run, like the one where Punk was giving him the runaround in the building and he was in the box and then he was in the ring, like some of that stuff didn't really work for me. But broadly speaking, and I think moreover, I have been into this feud more than anything else in WWE, and in particular Drew McIntyre, who I think has just been absolutely fantastic this year. And so I have got, like, my anticipation levels are high for this match. Like, this is the match I am most excited for on the SummerSlam card. But this segment here was not a segment at the end of it where I'm like, man, I cannot wait to watch that. my feelings at the end of the segment were like, man, I am still excited to see this match, but not because of this segment.
It's so funny because I am we were talking about maybe going to the SummerSlam watch along. One of the reasons I'd want to be there is this. It's like, oh, I'm excited about this. The Roman potential return is the other one. The fact that it's just a party with my friends is a third bonus. But in terms of, as you say, the go home element of I think pretty much everything on this show is one of those where it's like you've boiled the pot right until this should be the moment that it is like it reaches bubbling so that we can get to they've done it a week early. Do you know what I mean? This was very much just like a filling time thing. Do you remember the last time? When was the last time you're much better at this than me? When was the last time that Punk, Drew, and Seth were together? Do you remember they had that 3-way promo and it was a bit off the rails? Was it pre-Rumble or was it post-Rumble?
Well, they had one last week.
No, I mean the last time that they were fully all three of them.
Yeah, I feel like that was it might have been pre-Rumble.
Right, that's what I can't remember. I can't remember if it was just after he came back or if it was like on the way to.
Yeah.
Or if it was post.
Like a December.
Or if it was post-injury because that's when the Drew and Punk stuff really started to heat up. I can't fully remember it. Either way, there was a little like electricity and a fire and a verve in that, and I think they were trying to sort of capture a similar sense of anything could happen in this one. But it didn't quite hit that moment for me. Instead, it just felt like that's what I mean by saying he didn't really signpost the cheer me well, because it just felt like it didn't have that kind of flow or that electricity or hanging on every single word. It just felt like a promo.
Yeah.
And there was a nice sort of closing moment where Punk got in his face because which adds to the fragile ego thing. He's there giving all this swagger and talking about, I've got the people behind me, I've got the heart, they chant my name, you show him a friendship bracelet and he goes a bit nuts. Like, it's got all of those different elements of it. But for one reason or another, it didn't just have that electricity to make it this, wild segment of the year section. I think your assessment of it is exactly right, which is just like, this is the match that I want to see. This segment didn't improve or detract from that at all.
And I think that's kind of up and down this show. Like, I don't think the Gunther Priest segment on this made me want to see the match more. The real Liv promos didn't make me want to see the match more. It felt like they did all of their big angles for this last week.
Yeah.
Like which you mentioned earlier, which means that like when this show happened and by the end of the show, I was just like, yeah, it was fine as a show, I guess. Like, if you never saw this show, you would not miss anything going into SummerSlam. But I thought all three guys, they did everything they needed to do in this segment. It's just that they've done better previously.
Yeah.
So the segment kind of, and even when like the things that Drew was saying, the things that Punk was saying, feels like we're just treading water here. We're just treading ground that we've already talked about.
The information part of it was the referee stipulation stuff, and once that was done, it was pretty much similar stuff. Where we say feud of the year, I think it's almost because it's been so good, and whether it's that shot of the door coming up and revealing Drew McIntyre and the bloody Punk at his feet, or whether it's that sort of like blows a kiss to his wife or is like surprised Damien Priest is coming to cash in. All of this stuff has been so. There are some real like still screenshots for me through this thing where I remember being like, oh my god, this is so good, this is so great. I think they've all done such a fantastic job. This segment being good but fine is like not what the feud of the year, which it is, demands.
It is good but fine.
Yeah.
Like that is, I think, is a really good way to sum this segment up. So to the question to you, as our resident Cody fanboy as well, is this WWE's feud of the year?
At halfway through. Oh, do you know what? It's the feud of the quarter.
But it's been going since January.
Yeah, but really it's been going since
November last year.
It's the feud between WrestleMania and SummerSlam. It's the feud of this period of time.
I see.
No, I don't know, because that Rock and Cody one was, I think, just so electric, and there was so many moving parts, and it was so alive because it was alive, as we have come to learn. It very much was like a shifting, evolving situation. I think this one, if we to make the case for this being feud of the year, it's a testament to the commitment, the skill, the talent of Punk and Drew, and the longevity of vision from the creative to be like, okay, we've just brought Punk in, and he's got an injury. How do we keep him the most relevant person going and not have an Austin situation where we accidentally get him injured? I think in those terms, that is quite a masterpiece.
Yeah.
For it to have gone on this long, for all the conversations that we've had in the chats and the rest of it about like one too many interrupting the matches, one too many jump the shark moments. Maybe for some people, the Clash moment was a jump the shark. For some people, the Money in the Bank moment was a jump the shark. For me, none of them were, but I can sort of see how you got there to make it through those waters and arrive at the place where I'm like, I want it to be Saturday now. Thank you for this Monday, but I want it to be Saturday now. Is quite remarkable.
I think what's fascinating, like, because you probably are looking at this or Cody Rock as like feud of the year. Both of them are so interesting because they've had to pivot due to real world situations. With Cody and Rock, it was not a feud that was supposed to happen. It was supposed to just be Rock versus Roman at Mania, and then the crowd kind of forced WWE's hand to pivot. Over here, this was not supposed to be a SummerSlam match. This was supposed to happen earlier in the year, but the injury sort of forced them to pivot. But in both of those cases, the pivot benefited the story. And Cody versus Rock became this incredibly hot thing. And I think this Drew Punk thing has become better because of Punk's injury. And because it has taken us so long to get to the match. And because that has allowed Punk to screw Drew on multiple occasions, that has just added more fuel to the fire to get to the SummerSlam match. I wish we'd have ended on a much hotter angle. And I think that is, we've talked about this a lot, I think that is a real failure of the Triple H creative era. I don't think Triple H knows when the peak is. I don't think he knows when the real hot angle is or when to end on the hot angle before you get to the match. And that was up and down this show. But I do think that aside, this has had way better angles than a lot of stuff that's been in WWE this year, which for me is why, and not only that, I've enjoyed the character work, particularly from Drew McIntyre, who I would just keep singing the praises of, because I think Drew has been WWE's shining light post-WrestleMania, certainly on Monday Night Raw. So for me, this is my favorite feud of the year by WWE. Yeah. Should we do it as a poll?
Go on then.
So if you can, hear us, poll. Can we have... Sorry, if you can hear us, Mother, can we have a poll up of, do we think that this is WWE's feud of the year?
Is it yes or no, or do you want Cody Rock, Drew Punk?
I think that's because that...
Keep it yes or no.
Well, I think... someone in the chats there had said, well, what about Rhea and Liv? So, like, that's an argument.
There's a few others.
I think if you do two options, then that kind of reduces some other... people just like, I was actually really into Cody AJ.
Yeah.
So I just think, like, let's just do this, yes or no.
Yeah, strong.
Let's see what you made of this in the Ultra Chat documents. Kuzu here said, it's kind of ironic that SummerSlam had a better build last year, but was a mediocre show, while the build has been mediocre this year. Hopefully it delivers. There's a lot riding on Punk, Priest, Liv, and Solo to live up expectations put on them.
I am a little bit like heart in my throat for Punk. Like, I don't want him to be overexcited and
jump into the crowd.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And it does happen like that sometimes. The Olympics is on at the moment, and you're seeing moments where someone just gets a little bit like... and then the adrenaline pushes them one step too far, and it's a bit tricky. So I'm a little bit nervous on that front. There is a lot of... had we seen him wrestling weekly, it wouldn't have been... Or even like semi-weekly, had we seen him have one or two, the pressure would have been a bit less. But there are now so many eyes on this that... meet the moment,
Demon Arc here said, for me, I just don't care about this feud. I don't, and I never have liked Punk. Seth got boring after Mania. Well, he was gone after Mania. The only thing that is saving is the fact that Drew is playing my favorite kind of heel, the kind who are fully justified in their actions. I think that's fair. Like, Seth... Yeah, because he kind of went away and then he came back, had that feud with, a sort of very mini feud with Damien Priest, which I thought had a captivating angle because it really, like, it tied Seth into the Punk and Drew feud. I just think they completely undermined it the following night.
In the pursuit of... And this is one of the things, when you were talking about Triple H's not knowing where the peak is, I think Triple H has, because of his way of writing and his creative viewpoint, and I can understand this as well from the way I like to write things, he like sees the sort of bigger winding picture, and as a result, where that it's almost like if you've got your graph like this, if you then stretch it out, it almost is like the peaks are less, that's where it's like, okay, so I now have to rethink, and how do I build it to this moment? How do I build it to this moment? Because you do, ideally, you're right. What we want is that moment where it's like, whoa, give me Saturday now.
Daniel Martin here said, first time Ultra Chat, greetings from Portugal.
Portugal, obrigado.
This Raw was great. The Wyatt unmasking, getting physical, did everything to me. The Drew and Punk segment was good, but done with a very bad crowd. I'm still confused how Seth's refereeing is going to be. I'd watch SummerSlam 97. And we'll just have this one for now from the Mayor of Painesville. Dan, who said, "Hello, Luke. Hello, other Dan. Hope you're having a wonderful sunny Tuesday because I have. Dexter Lumis is back. The Dex Express has pulled out the station, and I'm happy everyone is talking about him again. Watch and see greatness happen."
Quite.
We'll
get there.
Well, let's get into the rest of this show. Thank you all so much for watching. Please do press the subscribe button if you haven't already. Leave a comment down below. Please go and support us over on Patreon as well. We are going through a big relaunch of our patrons. We've got loads of cool new stuff coming up soon, including...
You've had some great stuff recently as well.
We have had that.
I want to... Don't do yourself dirty.
Well, I mean, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Tomorrow, in fact, is the final part of our Breakup of the Shield.
This is what I'm talking about. It's very good stuff.
Part 7 of our Breakup of the Shield. We're reviewing Hell in a Cell 2014, where we're also going to announce the start of the next series, which will start in August. So head on over to Patreon now. Get involved with all of our new cool content over there. So we had our opening segment, and then we cut backstage, and the Judgment Day were in the Judgment Den, but it's been trashed.
No!
The PS5 was broken.
You know when you have a breakup, and like...
It's never happened to me.
Well, you know...
That's a lie. A girl left me because she wanted to play World of Warcraft more than date me.
Oh my god, I lost a girl to... Yeah, I lost a girl to WoW as well.
Yeah. She told me...
I was trying to think it was something else because she also liked Neopets, but it was World of Warcraft.
Yeah, she told me that she's got like only room in her life for a few things. So she's like, I've got you, I've got my family, I've got university, and I've got World of Warcraft. And then she dumped me.
There's a triangle here, not a square.
There's only room for 3 of these things.
We should start...
And one of them is not you.
We should start a support club. But yeah, no,
just before Christmas as well.
Oh, that's even worse. Well, I suppose that's a big, it's dark, it's the winter time, everyone wants to stay indoors playing a game, they don't want to go on dates. But it's that thing of like, you've had a breakup and so they've taken there's an in Friends, when Chandler moves out to move in with Monica, Joey keeps most of the furniture. This is a really detail I've always loved, and it's never addressed, it's in the background. He's got a little CD rack, and most of the CDs go, because Chandler takes him to his new apartment, but the CD rack is still there, it's just empty. So I like the fact that it's like, well, yeah, I bought you all of these treats, and them playing PS5 in the background, and them hanging out with their cool new stuff, and all of their chicken tenders and stuff, has been really like a kind of integral part of the Judgment Day over the past few months. So yeah, she's every right to take that stuff back. She bought it for them, and now you've broken up, so I'm taking my PS5 back.
And she's burnt it all as well. She burnt it all in a big oil drum.
That's a bit much, Liv. But I like that little... I was like instantly like... And I also loved Carlito being so upset about it.
He was mad upset.
He was so...
That's the reason why he wants to be part of the Judgment Day.
Yeah, they've got a PS5.
They've got a PS5.
Can I come to your house and play a PS5?
One of the reasons why I come to work so often is that I've got a PS5 here. I haven't got one of them at home. We then have the entrances for the next match. We cut back to the den, and Priest is offering to be in Finn Balor's corner for the main event, but Finn said, no, it's all right. And Priest wonders, like, if Priest goes like, sorry, why do we have an issue with Sami Zayn again and Jey Uso? And Rhea's like, I bloody know, mate. I kept telling them about this last week, but they did
We've
it
got
anyway.
Our baby faces versus heel within the Judgment Day stuff going again.
And so Dom suggests that Carlito go to Adam Pearce and make a match with Sami Zayn. There'll be some comedy about that and a bit later on. Our opening contest was Alpha Academy taking on the Creed, with some shout-outs of Bloodsport over the weekend.
Do you know, can I just quickly on the Bloodsport thing? They reference it so many times, and it does still feel like this new timeline that we're in where this happens all the time. I wonder if it'll be like when you go back and watch old Network when they talk about an NWA partnership, and it's just like, oh yeah, do you remember that year when they did a load of stuff with Bloodsport?
Yeah.
It's just funny.
I like maybe the same thing with TNA. It's like, do you remember when they had that big TNA crossover?
Yeah.
Kind of the same way we do with AEW now. It's like, do you remember when AEW
right.
had the TNA promotion for a little bit? The match was like broadly like, it was fairly standard affair. The Creeds worked over Akira Tozawa, built to the Otis hot tag. Crowd was super into Otis. I would say of the things on this show that this crowd were into, Otis was one of them.
I don't think the crowd were that bad. Maybe I just was in a good mood. But the Otis stuff in particular stood out, especially when he had that arrival at the beginning, and it was like almost got a bigger pop than the actual world champions.
I actually do think he did. The Alpha Academy took the loss here. The Creeds pinned Otis, and then Maxine slapped Chad after the match as they continued the beatdown, while the lights ka-chunked around them, and the Wyatt Sicks came out. There was no Nikki with them. It was just Gacy, Dexter, and Rowan. They made their way to the ring, took off their masks, which I thought was a really cool visual moment. And then from behind, Nikki lays out Chad Gable with a crossbody. Specifically, Michael Cole did call her Sister Abigail.
I know, I thought of you immediately.
Yeah.
Because you keep telling me off.
Well, that's only because I kept getting told off.
Yeah.
Because I kept...
Oh, so that's the chain, is it?
Yeah, it's the chain. So, because I thought it was Abby the Witch.
Yeah.
And then I kept accidentally calling her Sister Abigail in videos, and people were correcting me saying, no, it's Abby the Witch. So when people said, it was like, oh no, don't let them come after you as well.
Yeah.
It's Abby the Witch. Turns out you were
Who
right all
knows?
along. Turns out you were right all along,
Yeah.
and it's Sister Abigail.
I don't even know at this point, because they haven't actually said it.
No.
Until they,
Well,
Michael Cole has said it, but Michael Cole says a lot of stuff.
Maybe Michael Cole's wrong.
Do you remember last week? No, this was a different story. Carry on.
And they do, they get physical. Dexter and Gacy were the ones to do double team moves, which I thought was really cool. That's so kind of shows they'll probably be the tag act of this faction. And then Rowan lays out both of the creeds. Gable had escaped, and he's making his way up the ramp. Bumps into Uncle Howdy, who chuckles away to himself. Gable runs off. Later in the show, Chad Gable walks out to Adam Pearce. It was like, I've solved the mystery. It's Dexter Lumis.
Yeah.
It's Eric Rowan, and it's Joe Gacy from NXT. And Adam Pearce like, yeah, I know they're under WWE contracts. And Gable's like, well, good, because I want a trios match with them next week. And Adam Pearce makes it official. So the Wyatt Sicks are having their in-ring debut next week. It's Rowan, Gacy, and Loomis versus the Creeds and Gable.
I liked the Adam Pearce saying, no, they're under contract. Like, I know. Because it almost, again, it's almost like Chad Gable is in his own personal, like, horror story, and then we come back into the real world, and the rest of us are like, no, we know what's going on. Like, there's something kind of interesting in this playing with the real feel stuff versus the horror movie stuff that we get elsewhere. I don't know. I'm still fascinated by all of this, and we've talked at length about what happens when they have to ring a bell. Well, here comes the money. It's time to do it. So let's find out.
Yeah,
let's see where we're going to go. I'm also really intrigued by the way that this was a very decisive pin on Otis. Do you know? And now we're getting a match with these guys.
Yeah, they didn't cheat. They just
and yet Maxine did a little slap, and conspicuous by her absence was Ivy Nile, and has been conspicuous by her absence for a couple of weeks. I don't know why that is. I don't know.
She's been wrestling on main event.
So she's fine.
Yeah,
right. I don't know if it was maybe an injury or she was like off getting married.
I think a few people have been asking that because Sean Ross that posted was like, no, she's been wrestling on main event.
Okay, so she's around. So it's interesting to see if that, because there was a moment where she was talking to Chad as well. So it'll be interesting to see if that maybe comes into it after the fact. This whole business of is Chad the quote unquote right person, and we'll talk about someone else later on that might be involved in some way, shape, or form. I have been quite curious about whether or not it's like two things, to your Triple H point, two things going on at the same time. How do they interlink? Is this one over? Should we maybe focus on one at a time? I don't know. I'm into it still, and especially the fact that they took their masks off and we saw them do some moves, and now we're going to get them in a match. It really feels like, yeah, like I say, put the money where your mouth is.
I think they are still on fire with the Wyatts. Like I wouldn't say anything like the crowd is still super into the Wyatts. Like we haven't had their first match yet, and they've been around for 2 months now, effectively. And I think they are still a hot act.
And they're buying them as a because there was the UF'd up chant. Yeah, they're buying them as a threat.
I think we have passed the point now of Alpha Academy and the Creeds.
Right.
I think that ship has sailed.
I think so too. Which is a shame.
Which is a real shame, because that was a really hot angle for a little while. But that's twice now we've done that with Gable, where we've just not pulled the trigger at the right point.
I'd say 3 times even, maybe.
You'd say 3?
Well, because there was the initial bit with Gunther, and then it all got very cold, and then there was the run up to WrestleMania, and there felt like another moment, and then that got cold, and now we're at a point where I'm like, if you'd almost finished this feud off and set up Gable and the Creed, and then done this part, it maybe would have felt less messy. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, either way, I'm looking forward to next week very much.
I'm going to look to the chat here for a little bit of lore, because I just saw that someone there say, well, Abby the Witch is Sister Abigail. And I don't know if that's true, because for my Wyatt lore knowledge, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this one, that's why I'm looking to the live chat here, the puppets are different to... So, like, the puppets of Abby the Witch...
pig.
Like, yeah, but...
They're like an avatar.
Yeah, so, like, the puppets of Abby the Witch is not the same as the Sister Abigail
who got burned
figure.
in the fire.
Yes, they are not the same person. It is a puppet version of the crazy mind, of the sort of the fractured, tormented mind of Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, I don't really know either. But then also, I suppose, this is the thing with the Wyatt Six, is we're still sort of getting their lore fleshed out a little bit.
Which is why the VHS disappointed me this week.
It did to me a little bit. Like, there was some really good stuff about it. There's some bits that didn't, but we'll get there. But I'm in step with you on that.
We went back to the den, and Carlito came in and was like, "Hey, I've got the match with Sami Zayn for you, Dominik Mysterio." Wah, wah, wah. That wasn't the plan, so they tell him that he's now got to have a match with Jey Uso. Good stuff.
What did Adam Pearce have in mind for the show before this? That's my question.
He made a lot of this show on the fly. Well, Sheamus versus Bronson Reed.
Well, there you go.
Certainly in his plans. Big physical match. Reed kicked out of an avalanche white noise. He gets caught in the ropes, and the referee has to go and help him. And in the distraction and the melee, Pete Dunne hits Sheamus with the shillelagh, and Reed hits the tsunami for the win.
Bronson Reed shouldn't be getting caught in the ropes. There was something about the visual there that just made it look a bit funny.
Again, it's just SummerSlam callbacks. It's because Jesse was in the building, and they were like, "Well, we got to call back to SummerSlam 1998."
Is that what happened? I can't
Steve
remember.
Austin gets caught in the ropes.
Is it?
Yeah.
But Steve Austin should get caught in the ropes. I think there's something about Bronson Reed and the sheer size of Bronson Reed that makes him getting caught in the ropes like a little bit silly, right? And then I'm like, okay, well, what's going to happen now? And his foot is also technically not caught in the ropes. They're just making it look like blah, blah, blah. I liked the shillelagh stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it.
I'm glad to see Pete Dunne getting.
And hey, it wasn't a disqualification defeat.
We got one of those later instead.
Did we?
Yes, during the Sami Zayn and Dominik Mysterio match.
You are correct. Well, it's because I have won a show, you know.
Well, that's good. Having won a show is fine. I mean, actually, I'd rather have none a show and then be a real rarity. But if we are to have one, then I'd rather there just be one a show. We got a recap of the Priest and Gunther angle from last week, and then Priest cut a video promo talking about growing up on the street, saying Gunther's been handed everything. He had a very cool line, where he was like, "I live to get everything I have, and I'll die to keep it."
I liked this segment. I think actually they've done a really good job with making this one feel like one that I actually don't know which way it's going to go, even though I kind of do know which way it's going to go. I can see an argument for both, which I think is effective.
I mean, we've got our predictions going out tomorrow. We haven't recorded it yet, so maybe we'll talk about this tomorrow on tomorrow's show. I'm not feeling it at the moment.
You're not feeling it at all?
Not really, no. Like, I'm kind of digging this babyface turn for Priest, and I'm kind of digging this sort of like babyface split within the Judgment Day. But I'm not massively into Priest versus Gunther as a feud. I'm kind of, at this point now, I'm just ready to see Gunther win the belt.
Yeah, I think it feels like a secondary thought to the other stuff that's going on the Judgment Day. But I think the work both Priest and Gunther are doing within that is good. Yeah. So I'm into it.
We got the announcement as well. It will be a 3-hour pre-show for SummerSlam.
Goodness gracious.
With 0 matches.
But a lot of interviews. That is the Super Bowl element of it. Like, where it's like we're going to lead into the Super Bowl. Here we are up in the rafters talking about it for ages and ages.
3 hours.
Yeah.
Woof. Bron Breakker cut a promo on Sami Zayn and saying that, hey, Sami's trying to be a stand-up comic. He's already planning his career post-wrestling because I'm going to destroy him. Like, I know what happened at Money in the Bank, and that's because I just thought he was a stand-up comic. I didn't take him seriously, and that cost me. But now, that's not going to happen this time. So, you're busy telling jokes, I'm busy training, and the joke's on you, because the IC title will be on me. Another little good line there. I thought this was a good angle for Bron. I thought the angle they did later on was better, though.
It's so funny, because this is the same as the Priest thing, and then also what we're getting with Liv, which is video packages in lieu of other things. And I like that. I actually like the video package element, especially when maybe sometimes you are left exposed holding a microphone. But three or four feuds being done, this is what should be on the pre-show.
Yeah, I agree with you, actually. Well, not only that, I think you can do these, but you split them across different shows.
Yeah.
So rather than doing all of your go-home angles be video promos, you could do maybe half of them as video promos and then show the other half the week previously and then do some in-ring angles for the ones you did video packages for the week previous.
You could have had like Priest doing the battering this week.
Yes.
And the video last week. Yeah. Maybe.
I completely agree, we got Jey Uso versus Carlito. Cole again bringing up the bloodline during a Jey Uso match because we are signaling that is his direction that he is heading. Jey speared Carlito while he had a mouthful of apple, so he did a big spit of the apple going out. Visually very cool, and he got the win.
This was good.
it sure was.
Yeah. Nice to see Carlito wrestle again.
Yeah, we got Jackie interviewing Zelina Vega backstage, and Lady Shield attacked her, and then the Lyra and the Party Girls checked on her to lead to a 6-woman tag that we come
Lady
later.
Shield dental dam is where I went to straight away. I don't. It's not correct. I shouldn't.
What did you call them?
What?
What did you say?
When?
Just then. I said Lady Shield and you said...
Dental dam.
Dental dam.
Do you know what a dental dam is?
A dental clam?
No. No. A dental dam is used there, but no.
I just wanted to say it down.
The Scissor Sisters is what they should be called.
They should be called the Scissor Sisters.
They're not allowed to say that on television. Remember when they called Team PCB the Sorority Sisters and they found out that that was a website?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I do. Kathy interviewed The Miz, who announced that he is going to be the host of this year's SummerSlam, and then he did some comedy with R-Truth about hors d'oeuvres.
And then they continued that comedy on Twitter.
Did they?
They certainly did.
Great. We got a recap of WWE in Japan, and they announced that while Kofi Kingston wrestled on that tour, he got injured again. So.
Oh, Kofi, what you like, mate?
Yeah, which set up Xavier Woods versus Karrion Kross. Remember about 3 weeks ago when I said I was into this feud?
Yeah, we were high on Karrion Kross at that point.
It was about 4 weeks ago where I was like, maybe even 5 weeks ago, where I was like, man, I'm actually quite digging this storyline. It's because it's still in chapter 1, and they've been feuding now for 2 months.
Yeah.
And I am ready for this to get to the next phase. Because Karrion Kross been Xavier Woods here, and nothing advanced. Yeah. This really is. Do you know what this reeks of? This is proper My GM booking.
Yeah.
This is just... They just have matches, and then sometimes the rivalry grows, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you do a call-out promo and the rivalry grows, sometimes it doesn't. And then you're hoping to, if I could just get through to the pay-per-view, I can blow this feud off and I can move them on to more important things. But I'm just sort of stuck with this for a while and I can't get it to end. I'm waiting for this feud to just do something.
Something else I thought elsewhere on the show, there's so many people who are just sort of factions who ride together and have no purpose. And I feel like there was a purpose stated at the beginning of this feud, and that's why I think we were quite into it. And then, as you say, because it's not advanced very far, it's just been like, oh, okay. Do you know? I don't know. Yeah.
We had the video that Jesse the Body Ventura returned to WWE.
Former governor of Minnesota.
And he met with Triple H. And we had Jackie interviewing Sami Zayn, who talked about his comedy before Money in the Bank. It's like, hey, look, I did comedy before Money in the Bank. Guess what? Still won. I won that match. Bron's been trying to take cheap shots, but now the time for lessons is over. It's all about beating you at SummerSlam. And then he went out to make his entrance for his match with Dominik Mysterio. Before then, we had Liv Morgan backstage with her oil drum, and she was burning stuff.
She certainly wasn't. She'd done some crying, so she had a lot of...
Is this for us now?
Important podcast interruption!
We're about to turn it into a mukbang. What have you got there?
We've got some magnets.
Which one's there?
Can not sponsored.
No. Can I have the white chocolate one, please? Oh, thank you.
Yes, mate.
Thank you very much.
It's 31 degrees today in London. So.
It's the hot day of the year. So, but I mean, before any Americans get involved and to be like, that's not hot there, dude. Like, hey, you want to come down to Texas? That's where it's hot. It's hot here, mate. We don't have air conditioning around here.
Well, I mean, we do. But
we do in this building.
Yeah, but in general, these buildings are designed to keep heat in.
Yeah.
So, also, the almond magnum underrated.
I agree. Well, I mean, I'm a white chocolate boy. Cheers.
Well, I'm not. I just
you licked yours?
Yeah, sorry. I went straight in there.
Could have been really cool then and done cheers with the ice cream. You had to ruin it.
I'm so sorry.
Tell me about Liv Morgan.
Yeah, she had some cries, so she had the little eye makeup going on, and I thought that was... Do you know what? I don't know. I don't know what she's playing at. I've come to I don't know what you're playing at, Liv. And I have been very in this feud for a long time, and in this idea that we all seem to have decided that she's here to do the revenge tour to get Dom, not because she loves Dom, but to get one over on Rhea. And yet,
she seems to love him.
She seems to love him, and if this is all a ruse, she's gone quite far for a ruse, and the ruse seems to be on Dominik Mysterio rather than on Rhea. So I don't know. I've arrived back in. All right, well, I don't know what's going to happen now, so let it play out, I guess. But like, I'm a bit confused. So last week, people said I was overthinking this whole thing, but first of all, that's my job. Second of all, someone should.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't know where I stand with this story anymore. I don't know if I am into it. I don't know if I'm still into it. I don't know if I ever was into it. I know I have been enjoying it. But I feel like I'm excited to watch Rhea versus Liv because I'm excited to watch Rhea back in the ring and kind of see what the next phase of this story is. But I was watching this segment here and I kind of felt nothing at the end of it.
I did too, but I think that's more to do with the nature of I'm already there. If last week Because I think last week one of the things we were talking about is, okay, maybe this is the final thing and now that's done. Is Dom going to screw Rhea over? Is this going to be the moment like Liv and Finn reveal themselves as the real masterminds? I think we wanted SummerSlam now. So I think the reason I didn't feel anything at the end of this was not because I don't feel anything for the story, because I have. I've been quite vocal about enjoying myself throughout. I think it's more to do with the fact that this is now, it's time. It's time. And this is more the whole Triple H's go home shows syndrome than it is a sign of a story that isn't working anymore.
I also would say as well that
we should eat more. We're more concise.
I would say as well, I know I'm in the minority on this one as well. Of like, I'm not like truly digging a lot of this, because you look at the YouTube numbers for this, for this episode of Raw, and the two most watched videos are the opening segment, which is why we decided to do it as our opening topic for this week, because the other one was this Liv backstage promo, and they were about like equal footing. It's far bigger than the world title scene. It's way bigger than the Intercontinental title scene. This is a story that people are really, really into. And when I say people, I mean sort of like the general WWE audience are massively into this Liv Morgan thing. So it is working. Doesn't mean like it's not working for me all the time, but it is working. Yeah. And it is very much over with the WWE audience.
And so that's why I think it's like, if we get a big turn at SummerSlam, if we get a big reveal moment at SummerSlam, I think... Am I doing this too much? Looking at SummerSlam as the moment the page turns, as we begin a new chapter, as we do the next
Honestly,
part.
I mean, I'm trying not to swear too much. It bloody better do.
Wow, that was a harsh swear word.
Well, I nearly said the
Ron
F.
Weasley.
I nearly said an F.
Yeah.
And then I self-censored myself. SummerSlam needs to be a bloody page turner.
That's where I...
Because if some of these feuds are in the same spot that they are going into SummerSlam, we've got some problems here, bud.
Yeah. You dropped a bit of chocolate there. Don't lose it, because that's the best part. I feel like it's like, again, thinking about the way Triple H views these shows and views these chunks of time, it's almost like this is the moment where we change stuff. Like WrestleMania was the moment where we turn stuff over, and now we're getting to this part, and I'm like, I want you to bring some of that energy to the middle of the feuds and have a feud finish on Raw and then move on, and have there's no reason that we can't have a feud finish at the Bash at Berlin or something like that.
That's the thing, is we were talking about this a couple of weeks back, weren't we? When Triple H had that, I think it was a report that came out, wasn't it, that
Bron Breakker.
The reason why Bron Breakker didn't win the IC title at Money in the Bank is because Triple H wants these things to happen on the Big Four, and only the Big Four. So I think we are definitely going to be looking at SummerSlam then as, well, this is one of the Big Fours. Some things are going to change here, whether that be Roman returns. We kind of actually find out what's going on with Rhea and Liv and Dom, whether Dom does the turn. Bron Breakker wins the title. Gunther gets crowned as champion. Bayley and Nia Jax, we'll talk about the predictions when we do the prediction show tomorrow. We got Sami Zayn versus Dominik Mysterio. Judgment Day came out for the distraction, and they broke up a Blue Thunder Dom pin attempt for the DQ. Boo! Sometimes there are DQs in WWE where I'm like, oh, I get that, because you don't want to pin either guy. I'm looking at this one here, I'm like, we're protecting Dom, are we?
You can pin Dominik Mysterio. Well, he's a future world champion at WrestleMania 50, so...
You can pin Dominik Mysterio. This is not a Ilya Dragunov Bron Breakker situation. You can pin Dominik Mysterio and it would be okay.
Yeah, I definitely... Yeah.
Particularly if you had some Liv Morgan involvement.
Especially because it was that whole business of he wasn't supposed to be in the match anyway. It was supposed to be Carlito's match, so he's not ready. Like, there's a lot of things you could have done here. Didn't need a DQ.
But I thought the post-match was really, really good. Excuse me. Well, sorry.
Shall I read the post-match part?
Fine, I'll do this. Because I really like this.
Okay.
So, Bron comes down and he attacks Sami from behind. Ties into what Sami was saying earlier about cheap shots and this, that, and the other. He goes to hit the spear, but Sami recovers and hits a big boot. And so Bron's all staggered and stuff. Sami goes to hit the haluva kick on him, and Bron bails. And he's on the mirror, like, oh, what's going on? And Sami's there celebrating. And Sami turns his back again, and Bron ambushes the ring to try and attack him, and Sami overcomes him a second time. A really, really good, concise story that sums up everything that was said in both of their promos, which is that Sami's just this comedy guy, and Sami being like, he's just taking cheap shots, and he's not better than me. And here, every single time Bron was trying to ambush him, Sami got the better of him. I thought this was really, really good and effective.
Yeah, especially because it should be seen as intriguing prospect after a match that we've seen where Bron Breakker lost, like decisively. It was not a screwy finish. It was this was a loss that he went through. So to build it to the point where, again, it's like, you know, I'm not just some guy who's been around for a while. I'm Sami freaking Zayn versus, you know, I'm Bron Breakker, who is the men's gymnastics team at the Olympics yesterday. Whenever they
always talking about the bloody Olympics.
That's because they're the best thing in the world. Because when they were doing the gymnastics team event, there's this one guy in particular did the pommel horse, got off it, and then was like, "Ah, come on, ah!" And like it's this whole thing of like, calm down, it's just a flip. But also they've got that level of adrenaline and that level of sportsman jock vibes where they just have to yell at you for a while. And that's Bron Breakker.
People are the worst, you're right.
No, because no, they don't do it anywhere else. I don't mind one where you're like, come on, or like a little raw, yeah. But it was the level of extensive where I'm like, okay, guys, like it's okay, like calm down. Bron Breakker has that energy, and I kind of like that just leading with testosterone thing. Did you see the video where he got really excited to play Smash Brothers?
Bron Breakker?
Yeah.
No.
Have you not seen this? I'll try and find it and send it to you, but it was so cute. It was on Up, Up, Down, Down. And he was like, you guys ever play like Smash Brothers? And they're like, yeah, we play that a lot. We can get a little team together. And he got so excited. He was like, oh my God. I think it was really cute. So I kind of like
Which
that
Smash
we have...
Brothers?
I don't know.
Maybe it was Melee. It's the best one.
Maybe. But he was like really excited at the idea that a little group of them could play Smash Brothers together. He was like, to the point where he was almost like, I'll bring my GameCube. Like, I don't know.
That's adorable.
But that's what I mean. It's like, so it's that, but then the character of him as this big, like, rah, like, and he even...
Unstoppable badass.
Yeah, I train myself like a jock kind of thing. He's just got that, you know, no thoughts, just rah. And I kind of like that about him. But it is also a nice contrast to Sami Zayn, is the point I was ultimately trying to get to. I just remember I hadn't told you about that Smash Brothers clip.
My wife and I were actually talking about this with some of her cousins at the weekend at a family barbecue. We loved Steve Austin's Broken Skull Challenge.
Yeah.
Loved it as a show. It's so good. But we could only watch the ones with the women because the men were too much. The men were too testosterone. The women were just like really good and like were like really good at doing the challenges and stuff, but the dudes were far too much. Just like, yeah, bro, come on, bro, and all this. And I was like, I can't be doing with these lads.
Yeah, it's a bit extra.
It is. Yeah, that's exactly what they were.
It's a bit extra for the gymnastics.
Every single one of them was just a little bit extra.
We wouldn't be us Brits, would it?
No, absolutely not. Oh, jolly good show there, Fine Sport. We then got our
I'll finish this soon, I promise.
Someone did say this ice cream is really overstaying its welcome.
They're really good.
What's really nice. Thanks, Alex. We got the Wyatt VHS. This one was for Dexter Lumis. And they said that Uncle Hattie was saying they watched you drown, but there is freedom in sinking. What do you do when the buzzard starts circling and Lumis looks in the camera and he screams, run? Maybe I am the one who's at fault here. Maybe this is on me because I got so into the Bo Dallas interview and I got so into the Rowan interview that I wanted more from this. Because Nikki's last week was just her screaming, I wanted more from this one. This was also just screaming.
Yeah. I think that's the crucial part.
Yeah, I think you can use these VHSs for more. Like the Rowan one was so impressive.
Yeah.
Like it was so impactful, as was the Bo one. You kind of need to give these people some reasons for being here, as opposed to just doing spooky screaming at the camera.
And of course, you can't have. I mean, Bo and Rowan both have that, you know, brotherly connection.
Yes.
And that's why I think because of that blending of reality and fiction that had us all so emotional. It was so effective. I think had this not come after, we were all looking forward to the first one of them that wasn't someone we already knew with this connection. Why is Nikki Cross in the group? Why is Dexter Lumis? Why is Joe Gacy there? And we didn't really get an answer from Nikki Cross. She didn't even get to speak in it. And that frustrated me a little bit. I was like, I want to hear from you. I want to almost see Nicola Glencross. Do you know what I mean? I want to, because I liked that we saw Rowan, and I liked that we saw Bo, and I liked that we saw their reality blending with the fiction. I would have liked a bit of that for Nikki as well. Dexter, I think if this had come last week, it would have been slightly more interesting. It would, because I saw someone say online that Dexter doesn't talk.
That's his gimmick. He doesn't speak. Yeah.
So when he says run, it's like, uh-oh. maybe you should. Had we not had a silent one last week, I think this one would have been more effective.
I agree.
But as it was another one where I was like, again, the visuals are really great. I thought Dexter's look, the kind of he's giving Raven 2002 with the braids. I was like, and the paint made him that look like a complete transformation from the previous Dexter Lumis that I've seen, which again sort of ties into this cult vibe where I always liked it when I think Luke Gallows painted his face and they made a point of, well, it was a complicated thing because on the one hand he did it because of the war paint and the Japanese thing, and then the commentary kind of like pissed on it a bit, and I was like, oh, I was into that, and now you've just made it look stupid.
Yeah.
I like that didn't happen here. I like that he like paints his face. I can imagine it being a little bit like one of those. It's kind of weird. If you're walking down the street and you see a group of people, one of them's got his face painted like that, I'd be like, oh, I'm going to cross the road.
It's got very much Rob Zombie, Devil's Rejects,
right.
House of a Thousand Corpses vibes.
Yeah. That's very much your wheelhouse. Call me when it's a J-Lo reference. But I think it was because we'd had two in a row where not a lot has gone down. It was not bad. It was just underwhelming, I think. I was like, oh. So I hope we don't get another silent one for Joe Gacy. But
not into House of a Thousand Corpses?
Do I look like I've been into something like that?
You don't like the soundtrack for it? Not down for some pussy liquor?
I am a little baby girl. Leave me out of whatever that was.
Rhea cut a return promo on Liv Morgan and said that this revenge tour is just a fantasy, and this Sunday Rhea will get her own revenge. She's going to start her own revenge tour. We then got our only women's match on the show. Lyra Valkyria and the Party Girls taking on Lady Shield. Lady Shield got the win. And Damage Control made their return after the match, and they had a brawl. And they cut a promo afterwards. And you'll never guess what they had to say.
Tell me.
They run Monday Night Raw.
I certainly do. They run Monday Night Raw. Because I tell you who doesn't. Adam Pearce. Because how else are these three matches going to be made? First of all, frustrating that there's no other women's representation on the show. Second of all, I actually thought the match was all right.
It was a good match.
I liked it a lot. I liked the
Very
chemistry.
much in the finish. I really enjoyed the finish.
The sisters have great chemistry together. Weirdly, Lyra Valkyria worked quite well with the Party Girls, even though I don't understand why they're together other than they're just together.
Well, they're faces.
Great. But something of note, Damage Control. Well, I don't know if you've probably seen this. Dakota Kai cutting a promo. What's behind her?
The Wyatt Sicks logo is behind her.
What did Dakota Kai do?
To kick out Bailey of the group.
And Bailey was her family. Like Chad Gable.
Are we going to get Eric Rowan versus Dakota Kai?
Probably Nikki Cross. But
oh, okay, yeah, that makes more sense.
I think that's where they're going to go. I think if this idea that Wyatt Sicks are their people, you've abandoned your family, we're going to come for you.
But they've just returned as baby faces.
What? I don't think there was anything babyface about what Damage Control did, and that's another reason that didn't work. For me.
But I think now they have returned, like this return that they have done here.
No, that's what I mean. I don't think this didn't feel like a babyface return for me.
Oh, this did for me. This felt like this was their return, and this was a babyface turn for them to feud up against Sonya, Shayna, and Zoe, as opposed to it being two heel factions going against each other.
Nothing about the presentation and the promo that was cut by Dakota Kai felt like a babyface turn. You might be right. I just didn't.
Maybe it could just be me.
Other than the fact that the Scissor Sisters are heels. That's why you shouldn't, because it's hard to say. Scissor Sisters. That's why. So the Lesbian Shield, they're heels. That's the only thing I can see. But I just thought, here's two heel factions having a go at each other.
It was the pose as well that they did.
Lesbians pose.
It could be. Like, as I said, this could just be me. I might be reading more into this than there is. I felt that this was a bit of a babyface direction for Damage Control. And if that is, then I feel it'd be weird to then go into the feud with the Wyatts. However, but if you are going to go into the feud with the Wyatts, then maybe I'm completely off base here, and this was nowhere near a babyface turn for them.
Curious.
I
think fair to say, though, given that we're not in alignment, not the most effective.
Yeah, everyone's saying that they are faces.
Okay.
But again, we might be wrong.
Yeah.
We could all be wrong. Gunther cut a promo, said that Finn Balor could have been the best, but he surrounded himself with weirdos in the Judgment Day, and he said, this Sunday, I will save this sport, and I will save that title. Good stuff. We then got more Judgment Day stuff, with Finn saying that Rhea was right. They should not got involved with Jey Uso. They should not got involved with Sami Zayn, but did say, look, Damien Priest, you're going at it alone on Saturday against Gunther. And Rhea, you're going at it alone, so I'm going to go at it alone tonight. and he had a match with Gunther as the main event. Genuinely surprising. This is the first time these two have ever had a match together.
Ever?
Yeah, they said this on commentary. They were like, despite the fact that, they were, did a lot of stuff in the European circuit and the independent scene, this is the first time they've ever had a match together. So that's very cool. And it was a good match. Gunther choked out Balor at the end. He locked it in after the match was over, and Priest ran down to make the save, and they had a brawl to end the show.
It was a good match.
Yeah, it was. That's exactly what I would say. I would say it's a good match, and I would raise my eyebrows to be like, good match.
Yeah. Insight. And then, I was intrigued by, again, because I guess there's a little part of me that's wondering about this Judgment Day split. I've got Finn Balor's face at Money in the Bank, was it, or wherever it was, where he sort of like looked down the camera, and the fact that he took the key. I'm like, where are we going? What are we doing? This felt very decisive for. And then Priest did come down and make the save. Maybe it wasn't the save long enough if Finn is going to turn on Priest or whatever. I don't know. Intriguing. Yeah. I thought the having them brawl to go off the air was quite fun.
Yeah. I mean, it certainly is. It's an angle to do.
Yeah.
It's just not the hottest angle.
No, that's fair.
And I feel like I'm a broken record on this episode, but it just felt like up and down the show was like... We all picked the not hot way to end any of these stories.
There was nothing wrong with this show.
Absolutely.
There was nothing I would point to and say, you've done this badly.
Absolutely nothing on this show you could point to and be like, that effed up.
Yeah, perfectly good episode of the television program. It was on Sci-Fi, so its audience wasn't necessarily going to be as massive. And so they didn't want to do anything potentially big and game-changing in case it got missed.
But they are next week, because that's also on Sci-Fi. That's the Wyatt Sicks debut.
I suppose. But maybe that one's promoted rather than it being a surprise angle or something. I don't know. Either way, it was good, but it was a proper Triple H go-home show.
Yeah, absolutely. Let us know what you think. We have a poll up now. You can go vote in that. Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle while we round off your Ultrachats. Please do join the conversation. WrestleTalk.com/support. We'll read out all of them before the end of the show. Also, get your tickets to come and watch SummerSlam with us at WrestleTalk Live. We'll be doing our live reactions for it over on the WrestleTalk News channel this coming Saturday. We have the results of our poll of do you think this is WWE's Feud of the Year? 71% voted yes.
That's quite high.
That is high, actually. So I would say that's
quite a success.
A more definitive result than we've had in polls previous. Demon Arc here said, me again. A few weeks ago, I was concerned about the Wyatt's reception. I think that placing them against the clearly heel Gable crew was a good idea. Now people won't feel weird cheering for them when they do heel things.
But that's the thing, is if it's the conscience in that whole clip, the image of Uncle Howdy standing behind Gable and doing the Sister Abigail felt like a conscience moment, which is a good thing. You know, having someone call out the baddie for being bad. I liked that part.
Geek of Arabia said, a middling go-home Raw? Who could have predicted this? The show was fine, I guess. Best match by far was Gunther versus Balor, and it still felt too short. I did like the Wyatt Sicks unmasking at last a throwdown, though. I hope their match next week is better lit. Starting to get invested in Priest versus Gunther. I like their promos, and their brawl at the end felt right. Got nothing to say about Liv Rhea stuff today, but Carlito sad over the loss of the PS5 amuses me.
Good summation.
Lobby Warsaw here said, a mid-go-home show. There was a 20-minute stretch, commercials not included, of Carlito, Jey, Awesome Truth, and Kross. Scrap that and give 5 minutes to Sami, Dom, Sheamus, Bronson, and the women's tag and the main event. Good matches that could have been better. There was good stuff here, though. The opening segment was great. World Heavyweight Championship feud is great. Zelina is proving why she deserves TV time. The women's team feud is good. And as a Dom fan, hearing him get mixed responses from the fans gives me hope for a babyface turn. Kevin here said, I landed yesterday in Montreal to see family, so I haven't a convenient time to watch Raw, but I'm so tired. Jet lag is kicking my butt. I'm tired. I think St. Paul was also tired. Fine show, a lot of interview packages. I'm so sleepy. What is happening? Help!
Maybe just have a small nap. I think it's probably important for you.
I'm watching a lot of Beard Meets Food at the moment, and I was watching a video today where he was taking on this. It was called Burgatory.
Great.
It was like 2 10-pound burgers. It was like a Big Mac, but imagine that the buns are pizzas. So it was
pizzas?
So it was like 3 10-inch pizzas and like 2 10-pound burgers in there. And it was like really struggling through it. But the thing he kept saying was like, it's so hot. And like if you're trying to eat this quickly, it's just hot. And you can see the steam rising off it. And so he keeps saying it's hot. And he does lots of VO for his things, like, you know, post-show VO and stuff. And he's like, oh yeah, go on, say that it's hot again. You haven't said that already? God, you're annoying. Rafael Garcia said, so Tozawa just stared at Otis getting pinned. We're getting the Bobby Liv Lana story with Rhea and Liv, and instead of 50-50 booking, we have 33.3% booking with Sheamus, Pete, and Bronson Reed at the WWE Raw Sacrifice. I now hate adjectives in names. Because we got big
Bronson Reed, yeah.
Dirty Dominik Mysterio.
That was so 7 months ago, though. We've been dealing with that for a while.
I didn't notice Tozawa, though, just staring at Otis getting pinned.
That's why I was like, has this gone wrong? There was a little part of me that thought it was a surprise, but no, yeah.
Kevin here said, I think most go-home shows are fine/mid because of the numbers of stories that are actually completing rivalries at the pay-per-view. A lot of things have been building for next week's show. Wyatt's in-ring debut, Dakota versus Sonya, and a few for SummerSlam. Don't dispute that, Kevin, but the go-home show is meant to be your hottest part of this. So your argument is they built this too early.
Yeah, it's one of those things where when you're planning it, you almost want to be like, right, we're going to hit this beat on this day, and this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. And it's so you start with this is my match, this is my angle, and we're going to go backwards from there.
Yeah.
Rather than, we've done it, and now we have to sort of like tide ourselves over for a week. For the casual audience, it doesn't really matter. For the people who just watch week to week and they don't think about it too deeply, it's not the worst thing in the world. But when you want to have the pot boiling and really bubbling, you've got to be a bit more strategic with it.
The real Double J here said, greetings, fellow 26-year-olds.
Oh my god, thank you so much.
People are unhappy with Gunther's direction in his feud. Personally, I feel it fits his arrogance. Tongue-in-cheek, what Triple H feud should have taken inspiration from to stop fans cheering him. I mean, yeah, what the
Katie Vick.
Yeah, is making a Katie Vick joke there. I'm one of those people. I have not loved Gunther's direction in this feud.
Yeah, we talked about certain words that have been used to describe him.
I thought the one he had today was much better, where it's like, I'm here to save this sport because you're a bunch of weirdos and you're not what wrestling is all about, you spooky goths hanging backstage playing PS5. That is not what professional. I'm here to save that from you. It's kind of what like Luke Jacobs is doing with Michael Oku, like as they're sort of feeding over the British Heavyweight Championship here in the UK. So I'm digging that aspect of it, like that hard. I'm here to save this sport and that title from people like you are hanging out in the back playing PlayStation. That I like. This whole I was like, you're poor and you grew up on the streets, and that's weird.
But
I
would argue that the
arrogance.
You don't love the arrogance, you don't think there's any arrogance in him saying people like you playing backstage.
That's a different type of arrogance than privileged arrogance.
It's a very subtle distinction. I do see what you're saying, but I would argue that you can both play PlayStation backstage and be a good world champion. I think you can do both of those things, but that's where he's wrong.
That's where he's wrong.
But also, like, I do think there is something about, I really liked, and maybe it was a course correction because they were like, oh, you haven't really got what we were trying to go for, so we'll overdo it in Priest's promo or whatever, and really have him clarify what he's talking about when he's I liked Priest's comeback of it this week, which I have liked Gunther's entitled arrogance kind of thing, and the entitlement is not entitlement is a nuanced word as well. I have liked it all, and I liked this week that Priest was very much doubling down on this is what I mean. You have things handed to you and you don't even recognize it. You claim that you're the ring general. You claim you're the one who, and you're really dominant, but also you got handed this. It's like the Nepo Baby conversation where the Nepo Babies...
What did he get handed?
Well, because it's access to opportunity. Because in the same way, this is what I was about to do with the Nepo Baby thing. The Nepo Baby thing is the idea that it's like, okay, you have to go into the audition room and audition, right? And you still have to prove your worth and then get your part. But you got into that room and I didn't even get a chance to have a knock at the door. The door was open for you. So the argument that they're saying here is because you just waltzed around Europe and everyone thought you were amazing, so they just rolled the red carpet out for you. You've had the red carpet rolled out for you here in WWE as well. Like, they just fawn over you and you get all these opportunities. And I have had to scratch and claw. That's the distinction.
Did Damien Priest have to scratch and claw when he was tagging with Bad Bunny and headlining pay-per-views with him?
Well, it's on the way in is what they're saying when they're on the indies and things like that. That's the distinction they're making.
I mean, he was a top guy in Ring of Honor.
But again, it's okay. I'm just being, all right, Gunther fanboy. But no, all right.
Well, that's why I'm saying I don't think a lot of this is landing.
Change my mind. Story's crap. Put it in the bin. It's worked for me.
Dante Kennedy has been in Memberg for 15 months in a row. Said, so excited for SummerSlam. Priest, Gunther, Drew, Punk. Please let Drew win. Possible return of Rock and Roman. The show was lame, but the pay-per-view will be awesome.
I'm so excited to do predictions because
because we've got some things to say about that Drew Punk match, right? Scotty W here said Raw was awesome, and I saw a WrestleTalk sign live as I was near the timekeeper.
Oh,
I didn't spot that there.
Well, fun.
Oh, cool. We are doing our predictions tomorrow, so make sure you go on over to watch that. Subscribe to this channel and watch that tomorrow. It goes live at 3 p.m. BST. But also sign up for Wrestle League because Wrestle League closes this week. This season closes at SummerSlam, so get in now, get your applications in, sign up now, and get ready for the next season as well. Geek of Arabia here said, unrelated fantasy booking. After Nia gives Tiff her custom Money in the Bank briefcase, she beats Bayley at SummerSlam, gives Nia a monster reign, destroying everyone else thoroughly enough to give Tiff hesitation on cashing in her Money in the Bank. Nia lords over Tiff, treating her more like an accessory than a threat. Slow burn babyface turn for Tiff, who wants to cash in, but Nia isn't giving her an opportunity for almost a full year. Face turn Tiff at Money in the Bank pay-per-view, winning the belt for a massive pop.
The only downside with that is ages away. I think people sometimes think you've got to stretch that story. What were you talking about? Stretching your whole story and missing any peaks?
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to go with it.
Patrick here said, first time a big wrestling show is in my time in a lifetime, and I'm feeling the hype. Going to an AIW show Thursday, GCW on Friday, and SummerSlam on Saturday. Also, I'll be dressed as Devon Dudley for SummerSlam, so be on the lookout. Jam that jam, guys.
Fun.
Have a wonderful
time.
So we're currently working out our all-in weekend. That's doing Riot Cabaret on the Friday, doing RevPro on the Saturday, potentially also Hustle on the Saturday, and then doing All In on the Sunday.
It's a big week.
It is a big week. I've got a tattoo booked in.
Have you?
I have, yeah. I'll show you what I'm getting.
You can't see it.
Yeah. Hold on.
It's great for the audio listeners.
It is. Well, it is because I'm very excited to see your reaction to it.
That's so you.
And that.
I like that one more. That's fun. Although you're falling into the Gen Z trap. Just various different so you know how like Gen X tattoos were like tribal tattoos, and then millennial tattoos were like I guess the finger. Do you remember the mustache?
Oh, I do remember that as a trend. Yeah.
I've noticed, or at least my perception is Gen Z tattoos are just there's a doodle, there's no. Yeah, they look like someone's accidentally they've fallen asleep and someone's drawn on them.
Yeah, that is basically what my plan is for this.
Right.
Is my doodle leg.
Yeah, that's fun
because everywhere else has got like these have got sort of like meaning to them and stuff, and like that one is sentimental because I got it when I was 18.
Yeah.
And the one on my chest is a similar thing, but like this one is gonna be like I just want some doodles on my leg.
Yeah.
Like when I was a teenager, I had this idea for a tattoo that I wanted, and it was just in like huge down the side of my leg, Millpool.
Great.
And I that is the tattoo that I wanted, and I never got it done. And I reached a point when I reached 30, and I was like, I'm too old to get that tattoo.
A little bit.
Like if I'd have got that tattoo when I was 18, I'd have gotten away with that. If I get that tattoo at 30, I don't think I can get away with it.
And you're saying you're going to get these during the All-In weekend?
Yeah.
Why don't you wait a couple of days and see what the attendance figure is, and then you can pop that on there as well.
Look, I don't want to put low 3 figures. I want to put an impressive number on myself. Anyway, sorry, where were we? Pika Pig here said, first off, I want to give love to everyone at WrestleTalk this wonderful day. Second off, I've got to say how much I appreciate Dan. I was going back through and watching old comedy skits, and I would once in a while encounter Dan in the videos, and he did a wonderful job.
Thank you very much for the continued views.
And Josh22 here said, it's a hot take to say that I would rather have Priest retain his title this Saturday over Cody. I feel like Priest has been more of a world champion than Cody at this point.
That is such an interesting conversation that we will have on the prediction show tomorrow.
Yeah. I don't think I fully agree.
I can see a certain point. I don't agree either, but I can understand how you've come to that conclusion. But it's very interesting. Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Man, this poll here, 51% thumbs up, 41% thumbs in the middle.
Woof. I mean, well, it was a mid-show.
It was a mid-show. But I think even when we've done mid-shows, the thumbs up are still of a higher percentage than the mid ones.
Like very much.
That is a stronger mid than we've had in a while.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's all we've got time for on this edition of the show. Thank you all so much for watching. Please do press that subscribe button and give us a little thumbs up as well. Leave a comment down below. And we will see you tomorrow for the prediction show. Then on Thursday, it will be our AEW Dynamite review, which has got a hell of a lineup for us, including Darby Allin versus Hangman Page in remarkably a first-time ever match in AEW, which I can't quite believe. And then on Saturday, over on the WrestleTalk News channel, we'll be doing our live reactions to SummerSlam. And then on Sunday, myself and Dan will be back in the studio to review the show in full. And we might have some other bonus stuff going up as well. We will let you know. Until then, I've been Luke Owen, DAD. That has been Dan Layton. Jam that jam.